Okay, here I've written two problems and we're going to practice how to factor. So let's look at number one. Remember, factoring is when we break up this polynomial into two binomials, so two factors. And one way to think of it is look at this last number here, 12. And we're going to find factors of 12. So what times what will give us 12? Well, we know 2 times 6 will give us 12. 3 times 4 will give us 12. 1 times 12. So now we need to look at each one of these products and see which ones we can add or subtract to give us negative 7x. And I see 3 and 4 we can add and subtract to give us negative 7. So I'm going to put 3 and 4. We know that the x's need to be multiplied together. And because this last term is positive, these products either need to be both negative or both positive. And because this middle term we see is a negative, that means both of these symbols need to be negative. So when we factor number 1, it should be x minus 3 times x minus 4. Now if you want to do the box method, that's fine. We know that the first box is x squared. So an x and an x are two terms that are being multiplied to give us x squared. So x and x. Our last term is 12. And these inner terms need to add up to a negative 7. So both of these outside terms need to be negative because we know negative times negative will give us this positive 12. And then we think of factors of 12, so 3 and 4. So let's check it, negative 4x and negative 3x. And if we add those inner terms, we have x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 12, and that'll simplify to x squared minus 7x plus 12. So we see that the factors are x minus 3 and then x minus 4, which is the same thing we got in the first method. So you can do either or when we factor. Now for 2, we want to factor these into two binomials. So again, we know x goes into the first box because x times x will give us x squared. So that's our first term. Now let's look at negative 10. Factors of negative 10, 1 times 10, 2 times 5. I think that's it. Now we look at these factors and say which ones can we add or subtract to give us this positive 3x in the middle. And I know 2 and 5 can do that. So I'm going to put 2 and 5. Now this is the tricky part, these symbols. This negative 10 means that the product, one number has to be positive, one number has to be negative. So we can either have x plus 2 times x minus 5 or x minus 2 times x plus 5. And if you FOIL each one of these, you can find out which is the correct solution. But we know that 3x is positive. So that means that 5 needs to be positive. So x minus 2 times x plus 5 is going to be the correct factor. Now using the box method, x squared will be in the first box, negative 10 will be in the last box, and we know that one of these is positive, one is negative. So 5, so that'll be a 5x, and then negative 2. So it will be negative 2x. And if we add these like terms, we see that x squared plus 3x minus 10, which is what we started with. So our factors x minus 2 and x plus 5 are the correct factors. So a lot of factoring is guessing and checking. We saw that we had two possible factors, and you could FOIL to see which one gave us our original equation in number 2.